This guy's one of my favorite human beings. I'm so psyched to chat with him because he's entering year 95 in the National Football League. I think I've gotten that correct,
record,
right? Is that right? Would it be?
Yeah,
Calais Campbell here of the Arizona Cardinals once again. Good to see you, Calais. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm blessed and highly favored, man. Living the dream one more
Come
time.
on, look at us chatting again. Come on. Who says you can't go home again, huh, Calais? Who says that? Right?
Yeah, I don't know. They're wrong, though. You can definitely always come home. Baby. Home is where the fun is.
Yeah, so is this year 18? Did I get that right? Is this going to be year 18 for you in the NFL? Wow.
Whew. Yeah, you're 18.
Wow.
Year 18.
Who would have thought? I don't know. I just keep wanting to play football and they keep letting me. So one day I got to go home, but right now I'm enjoying it as much as I can.
And so it was the 2008 draft, 50th overall selection, and the Arizona Cardinals took you out of the U. Walk me through your memories of that draft. Here we are in draft week, Calais. What do you got for me there?
You know, I had a really bad combine. You know, I should have trained with you for the run.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Might have been a little better.
Nice.
But I had good training and stuff. I just kind of like, you know, mentally, whatever. I need to be humbled, and it happened. But then, like leading up to the actual draft week, I wasn't sure if I was still going to be like a first round pick, like I was projected, or if I was going to fall. Some people thought I might fall out of the draft completely. So it was a whole lot of uncertainty. And I was, you know, like whatever it is, what it is. Like we just got to ride with it and make the best of it. And back then they had first and second day, the first and second round on day one, and then everything else was day two. And so I couldn't imagine having to like sit through now because I fell out of the first round and going second round, and having that whole day go by probably would have sucked a little more. But for us, you know, when I got drafted, like it was still just a couple hours later after the first round, and you know, but once that call came in, like everything else went out the window. Like it didn't matter anymore about where you got drafted. It was like, okay, my dream's here, you know, my dreams are coming true. Got on the phone, you know, with all the, you know, Rod Grace, the GM for the Cardinals at the time, Ken Wisenhunt, you know, got on the phone with Michael Bidwell, and it was just like, you know, like just the ultimate feeling, surreal. Like you couldn't even like even right now at this moment, I still get chills thinking about it because you work so hard for something, and then your dream comes true, and you know, then you realize that's when the work really gets started. Everything up until that point really didn't matter no more. That's when the work really starts.
Right. And then now 18 seasons later, you're back with them. I mean, are you just blown away sometimes walking around the town, the city, the facility, just seeing the Cardinals logo behind you, that this is happening for you, Calais?
Yeah. Right? I mean, you know, it's always a possibility, right? You know, that's why you never burn any bridges. That's not my personality anyway, but a lot of guys burn bridges or have, you know, you could. You don't want to do that, though, because there's always a possibility you can come back. And so I know that the city has just been, like, on fire since the announcement came out. I trained here already, so when I'm in town, you know, guys are always like, hey, we miss you guys. You know, we miss you. We want you back, you know. And so now that I'm back, a lot of guys are like, I mean, literally everywhere I go, welcome back, man. I'm so happy to have you. You know, hope it's gonna be a big year. And I'm like, you know, I think we got a shot. We got a chance. So, but it is surreal. It's incredible. I mean, this, you know, this organization is the one that gave me my start, first believed in me, had 9 incredible years with the 2 championship games when most people didn't think we had a chance. You know, I was in the Super Bowl my rookie year. So my whole career started off with a bang. And I've been chasing that feeling again. And who knew? I mean, I didn't even think I'd be playing 18 years. You know, I thought I'd be done by now. So I'm surprised at myself too. But at the end of the day, like I love this game so much. I love it with all my heart. And as long as they allow me to play, you know, and I'm still good at it, you know, like why not?
Right. I mean, and you've done everything in your career, playing, as you said, in championship games, and you know the Super Bowl, and you know, in your first go round with Arizona and my buddy Kurt Warner, and now here you are trying to get back to the Super Bowl and win it. Walter Payton Man of the Year is also in your trophy case, for the lack of a better phrase, because it's more than just the trophy, clearly. Why do you keep doing it? Why do you want to keep doing it?
You know, I think about that all the time because, like, you know, I got kids who require a lot of time. And so, like, you know, like, what's the point of going through the sacrifices, you know, losing time with them to really be good at this game that, you know, like, I mean, I've done enough where I could walk away and feel really good about my career. But when I think about it, it really comes down to, the love of the game, right? Like, I love this game with all my heart. I started playing at 6 years old because, I found out I could start playing. I asked my dad to sign me up, and I literally begged him, and so I've always been in love with this football game. And, eventually I do got to go home, but, the reason why I keep going now is I feel like I got more to offer. I got more to offer the game. I can still be an impact player. I can still impact the locker room and helping these, younger, talented, young men develop and grow their game. And, I take pride in that, just, trying to give more to the game, make the game, better than when it was handed to me when I was a young buck 18 years ago. So, you know, it's part of it. It's a lot of other reasons, but that's the gist of it. I just love it so much and I want to make the game better. And so I feel like I still have a lot to offer it. And a lot of that is being a leader and helping the young guys develop. But even on the field, I feel like I can still, shoot those gaps and make those TFLs and get sacks and batted balls and game-changing plays. So, one day, when I'm, 20 years, 30 years down the road, and I'm looking back on my career, I don't want to be like, oh, I should have retired a year earlier, because, look at this tape, it's terrible. And so I definitely don't want to suck at the game, but right now I feel like I can still ball.
Sir, you do not. I can confirm that you do not suck at the game. You're the exact opposite of sucking at the game, and I can say things like this. You don't have to even react to it, but years from now we can look back and maybe talk about a jacket and a bust and things like that in a certain state in the Midwest of the United States of America. It is the truth, what you have been able to do in your career, Calais Campbell, and you are truly one of my favorites. Before I get to, your current situation and maybe talk a little bit of the you, since Miami, maybe the first institution of higher learning, has a name called on Thursday night. I do want to ask you about Miami last year, Calais, and what happened prior to the home opener last year. Is that something that lingered with the team? That you just couldn't, that it hung over the team for weeks or months, or that's not fair to say? Calais.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair to say. It definitely, had a lingering feeling for a few weeks,
Okay.
But I don't think it was like, enough of an impact to kind of justify like why we didn't play as good as we wanted to play early in the season. But, that is a surreal feeling, right? Just on your way to work, you've done it, so many times before, and you're pretty much at work, and, I'm driving in, and I see, like there's a little bit of, just, the road's blocked off. You're trying to figure out why, because it's never blocked off. And then you pull up and I see, Tyreek in handcuffs or, get ready to be put in handcuffs. And so I pull over like, oh, wow, this is a big deal. And then obviously trying to, help the best way I can, led to me being in handcuffs, which is even more surreal. But when you go to like that moment, and like all the stuff that happened afterwards, because it's not just the moment, right? It's all the, the media, the family, everybody reaching out, talking about it, in the locker room, all the players trying to figure out what happened. It definitely lingered way more than it should, but, we did the best we could to kind of, keep it at bay and keep the main thing. And, but that was a very surreal thing. I mean, I've been, playing this game a long time and driving to the stadium a long time. And that's definitely not something I ever thought could happen when you don't really break any rules, but that's just the world we live in. But the beautiful thing is that, we were able to get through it and still, even though we started the year off kind of slow, I mean, we were 26 at the trade deadline. We made the last game matter, and I feel like that was it was definitely an opportunity to try to be the best leader I can be and try to keep everybody together. And I think we did a decent job. I mean, wish we'd have made the playoffs and made a run, but finishing the year off strong was definitely something I can hang my hat on.
Yeah, you definitely won 6 of the last 9, but the 2 and 6 is what led me to ask that question, to see if it was lingering or any sort of sense on that. Now you're in Arizona. I got to spend some time with Jonathan Gannon before a game against the Rams at the end of the season. he's contagious, man, in a good way. You know what I mean? Like there's an energy about him that I think it's clear there's been a lot of buying of what he's been selling there in Arizona. I wonder what your 2 cents are on that as you're joining this organization with Kyler and a team that does appear to be on the upswing here, Calais.
Yeah, before I ever met him, I've heard nothing but good things, right? I try to keep a good pulse on the league, and I'm always talking to guys about, how they feel about, coordinators and sometimes even, D-line coaches and just different, people that, could potentially, grow in this league. And it's not like I'm doing that to try to have, information for if I'm a free agent or something. It just kind of happened that way. But,
Sure.
I definitely heard so many good things about, Coach Gannon when he was in Philly. And then getting the head coaching job and guys that played for him here, they all loved him. And so when the opportunity came and we got on the phone together, like I had a chance to see for myself, and he was very impressive. It just blew me out the water. With just like the way you could tell he loves the game, his energy, his knowledge for how to get advantages in the game. Especially on defense, the defensive line, and so he said a lot of things I like to hear, which led to obviously me being here now. And I think together, my goal is just to help him as best I can, put my hand in the pile, and really just kind of help the maturity of the defensive side of the ball. Just young guys, a lot of talent everywhere, and I know that with my experience and my knowledge of the game, hopefully I can make a big impact here.
Before I send you on with the rest of your Monday, Calais, not to turn you into my draft expert, but I'm about to. I imagine you watched a lot of Cam Ward football when you had a chance, right? Playing in Miami, being a Hurricane yourself. A lot of questions about whether he is worthy of the first overall pick, Calais, and I'm wondering what your 2 cents are on that subject matter, Calais.
Oh, he's no question. He's legit. Every young player, has growth, right? He's going to get a lot better the more he plays football. And some of his knocks, some of the things that, you don't like about his game, he also does things that's like, well, if you make plays like that, then hold the ball as long as you want to,
Right, right.
He's incredibly talented, very smart, hardworking, everything I hear about the guy, has been, incredible things. Even before he got to Miami, when he was trying to decide where he wanted to go, I definitely, I'm really connected with the Miami staff, and
yes.
They were telling me about him, and I was just like, wow, this guy sounds impressive. And then to see what he did, the season, it made sense with all the stuff I was hearing. So I say though, talent-wise, he can make every throw. He knows where to go with the ball. He can throw in rhythm. He's a great creator. He's the ideal first pick, first overall pick. Like he's the kind of guy that you could build a franchise around. And you just got to teach him, help him grow. But like it's football. Like everybody gets better. There's very few people to come in, day one and are like, the most polished players. I don't care, even Michael Parsons or even Tyrann Mathieu, like guys who I witnessed just come in right away and were super dominant. They still got better the more they played.
But I'm sure, again, you were watching as an alum. I don't know how many games you were able to make because clearly, you had a Sunday job. But you were watching him last year thinking this is a professional quarterback with a monster ceiling. You were thinking that as a veteran of the game as well as clearly an excited alum, Calais.
Yeah, no, and I like to think of myself as like as a diehard football fan that's lucky enough to play it. But just watching him and playing the GM role that a lot of us fans do, he's definitely a guy I would build my team around. If I had the first pick in the draft this year, I'm drafting him.
Okay, Calais, you be well, sir. Good to see you. Best to your fam. I'm just psyched to see you back. Look at that, your smile on your face. You're 18. That is a massive accomplishment. Massive. 18 years in the National Football League, and then be able to sort of bookend it. That's rare. I can't really recall somebody with an opportunity to do something like that. So I send my congrats to you on that front alone.
I appreciate that. It means a lot. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
You know how I feel about you. So take care of yourself. Let's connect soon. You be well. Peace. That's the great Calais Campbell right here on the Rich Eisen Show from Arizona. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.